Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report presented by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. I am your host, Tom Downey. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for more Cowboys coverage. We'll start things off today. We'll get to our rumors here in a second, but we do have some updates for you guys on David Irving. We do at least now know why he has been absent from practices recently. It is related to custody issues with his daughter. Now, if you go way back to when this whole thing began, David Irving did get custody of his daughter, Zoe. Now Angela Sanchez, his on-again, off-again girlfriend with whom he's had several issues with, now has custody of the daughter. Sanchez served Irving with a temporary restraining order, and now Sanchez ended up getting custody as well. This, of course, also happened in the past week and a half or so. The good news is, at least for Irving, is that he is now back with the team today, and the hope is that he's going to be able to play on Sunday. Now, there's still a whole lot of other stuff going on here right now with David Irving. When the restraining order was served to him, I guess he didn't handle it very well, and he's facing what Dallas police call offensive touching. It's a Class C misdemeanor assault charge. It's really not the biggest deal, but it is a misdemeanor assault charge. The max punishment is a $500 fine. So there's nothing overly concerning there, but all in all, again, there's always something going on with David Irving. So he's back with the team today. The hope is he's able to play on Sunday, and if he does play, the expectation is that he has a limited role on passing downs. And again, I was not very, praiseworthy of David Irving on our last show, but as I've said before, including Tuesday, and as I've said before multiple times on this show, you got to feel bad for David Irving, the person. It sucks what he's going through. He's dealt with a lot of crap this offseason. But at the same time, he does have a job to do. The Cowboys need him out there, and he hasn't been very, present. He's practiced like one time, I guess two now today, since last year. So at a certain point, despite his talent, despite the fact that you do feel for him as a person, it's just the patience has got to be wearing thin. It's worn thin for me. I like David Irving, the talent, but I think the Cowboys feel the exact same way. Very actually trust David Irving, the player. So I think at the end of the year, you say, David, thank you so much. Best of luck in the future. But we're going to part ways and go a different direction. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. All right, folks. Thursday Night Football coming up tonight. I have my NFL pick'em going on with BetDSI. DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney if you guys want the link. It's also linked at my pinned tweet right now on my Twitter profile. Sign up is free, no deposit required. Just go to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code Cowboys120 when you do it. That way, in case you do sign up, you get their fantastic deal. Then DM me on Twitter that you're one in. I'll send you the link and make your picks, all right? See if you can beat me. If you come in first place, the winner gets $25. Let's see what you guys got, all right? Some of you guys think you know more than me on football, i.e. the Kellen Moore-Tony Romo debate, because Romo doesn't make sense right now. Anyway, DM me on Twitter if you guys want in. All right, some Cowboys rumors. This one pops up every single time the Cowboys coaching search is a possibility, and I'm going to give it fake news. I don't see Bob Stoops coming to the Dallas Cowboys. And every time it happened when Garrett got hired, happened when Wade Phillips got hired, every time it's, well, what about Bob Stoops? It doesn't make sense. I think that Bob Stoops is legitimately retired. He says he doesn't plan to return to coaching. Look, it's not the worst option. I wouldn't be upset if they did hire Bob Stoops. That's not what I'm saying. I think I prefer the Cowboys to go young. And if you gave me the option, say, of Bob Stoops or Lincoln Riley, I think I'd actually go with Riley, go with the young offensive mind. That's kind of my preferred option there. So I don't hate the idea of Bob Stoops. I just don't think it's going to happen. Also not happening. I have to keep reminding you guys, these 5 guys are not going to be your head coach. I've seen each one mentioned in the comment section within the last week. Romo, Aikman, Johnson, Parcells, Cowher, they don't make sense as a head coach. All right? Romo, Aikman don't have any experience in that area. Jimmy's been retired for the entire century. He has not come back since he left the Dolphins. It doesn't make sense. Parcells is retired. Cowher is also retired. Now, with that in mind, I know a lot of you guys want Jason Garrett fired, and I'm very much on board with you guys there. So let me know who you guys want as the next Cowboys head coach. We got a lot of options out there. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. All right, next up, will there not be any big trades for the Dallas Cowboys? I know a lot of you guys won't like this, but that's kind of what it seems like. I'm sorry, folks. I'm going to go ahead and give this one 3 stars. It just doesn't seem likely. Now, I guess I'll never say never, and maybe something crazy could end up happening, but I'm just going to give it the 3. It's really 3.5 right now. I would be stunned if a trade went down, much like the Dallas Morning News in their recent report. One big reason. Why trade away draft picks for a player when you're probably not going to make the playoffs? And if you're looking for a big splashy trade, you're going to give a second or third round pick. That's probably going to be a top 75 pick. I'll go ahead and keep my pick and focus a little bit more maybe on the future, even though Trader Jerry does still make some calls there. I don't see a big trade coming. All right, next up, are the Cowboys still in the mix for the NFC East? As bad as this year has been, actually, yeah. Now, I don't think the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East, but the entire division as a whole is struggling right now. Their odds via BetDSI are plus 250. That's actually second best among the NFC East teams. And the Redskins, thanks to their bye, are technically in first place in the NFC, but who here believes in the Washington Redskins? I didn't think so. Eagles, I think, are still the favorites. They're down to plus 100 for most of the offseason, and even up until now, they were the odds-on favorite, around minus 300, even higher than that. So that's a notable change there. The Cowboys, as bad as it's been, they are still kind of in the mix, and that's also why you're going to see, I think, the coaching staff tend to stay in place longer because they're only a half game out of the division lead, which is weird to say given how poorly they've played it this season. But if you guys want to place a bet on the Cowboys or a different team, head to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Cowboys120 when you sign up and deposit. They'll give you a 120% deposit bonus. What that means is you put down $100, they'll give you 120 for a grand total of $220 to bet with on BetDSI. You're playing with house money if you go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Cowboys120. All right, on to Allen Hurns, who has made waves the past couple of weeks as he kind of rips the Cowboys' play calling. And what he said is right, but I think it's kind of taken a little bit over the top. Yes, he ripped it. I'll give it 3 stars here, not the full-on 4, because Hurns wasn't completely negative, and I want to make that clear. That's why it's only the 3 stars there. He also pointed out, correctly so, it goes well sometimes. And he mentioned that he wants more targets, as every receiver in the history of ever does. But Hurns was right to be critical of some of the Cowboys' play calls, because you and I all see it. It hasn't been very good. The play calling has been bad. The scheme has been bad. And with that in mind, it's not just one thing, though. Are there multiple offensive problems? I'm actually giving this one 4 stars, and it's something that Hurns has said before, and it's something I will continue to try to remind everyone else, because sometimes I think in the way we operate today, we want it to just be one thing. Everything is black and white. This is the most ultimate gray area thing in existence right now. It is not just Dak Prescott. It is not just Jason Garrett. It is not just Scott Linehan. It's not just Dak, or the receiver. It's not just the offensive line. It's everything right now. There is very little that you can point to right now and say, you know what? This actually is going right. Like, we're doing a good job here. Maybe Zeke, even though last week he wasn't as good. There are so many things wrong right now with the Cowboys' offensive system. You can't just say, oh yeah, if we fix this thing, we're going to be fine. There's too much going on right now. Now, with that in mind, you do have to blame somebody the most, right? I put the blame on the coaching staff. In the end, that's where the buck stops, right? Stops with Garrett, stops with Scott. That's why I'm all aboard for firing Scott Linehan and making Garrett call the plays the rest of the year, see if he can't save his job. In the end, if you're the Cowboys, you got to find a way to get something else going because it's not working. It's time for changes, be it coaching staff, personnel. Those are kind of your options right now. All right, folks, if you want your own awesome Mizzen and Main shirt, go get one at comfortable.af. And trust me, folks, these shirts are indeed comfortable as F. You will not find a more comfortable shirt in existence than a Mizzen and Main shirt. All right, next up, one more rumor here for you guys. Did the Cowboys make a mistake in not drafting Calvin Ridley? I do want to spend some time on this one as well because I've seen this mentioned multiple times. I saw it on NFL Network, I think it was this morning, yesterday morning. The days kind of all run together for me at this point. I've seen other articles about it, but I'm only giving it the 1 star. Yes, Calvin Ridley has been fantastic this year. He has been one of the best receivers in the NFL, frankly, at least in terms of touchdowns and production. But I don't know if not drafting Ridley was a mistake. And yes, he's playing great. And Gallup is not helping enough. And yeah, the Cowboys could have taken Calvin in round 1, and he'd probably help out your offense. But that actually feels kind of insulting to Leighton Vander Esch. Because Vander Esch has been fantastic so far this year. And if it wasn't for Vander Esch, well then, what are you doing on offense? Or on defense? Like, Sean Lee's out. You're playing Damian Wilson, Joe Thomas is hurt. Like, I don't think that makes enough sense for the Cowboys there. So you have to do it in this way. If you draft Ridley, yes, you miss out on Leighton Vander Esch. Yes, you, of course, would not take Michael Gallup. So then what linebacker do you take in round 3? Are you taking Oren Burks? Are you Fred Warner's with what I like him, but he wasn't there. Are you taking Josie Jewell? I don't think this was a mistake. There are some arguments that would help the offense, but in the end, I don't think the Cowboys are a Calvin Ridley away from being an elite receiver or an elite offense, or even that much better of an offense. I saw one article that claimed that Ridley would have just as much success because Tavon Austin and Cole Beasley and Allen Hurns would draw the attention away. A big reason why Ridley's been so good is because he has Julio Jones and Mo Sanu and Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman. Ridley is a great player. I'm not knocking him at all. But if you think that Calvin Ridley, with what he's done with the Falcons, would do the exact same thing with this Cowboys team right now, absolutely not. That he wouldn't have had much success. He'd go from being a secondary option that never gets double-teamed to always being double-teamed because no one else on the Cowboys offense is worth any type of fear. So I still would go with Leighton Vander Esch. I don't want to knock Calvin Ridley, but look how good he's been. You can get a receiver later. I'm glad the Cowboys had LVE. I think in the end, LVE and Gallup is going to be greater than, let's say, Calvin Ridley and Josie Jewell or Oren Banks. I think the Cowboys made the right pick there, taking LVE. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Time now for my Cowboys mailbag. We'll start things off with a question here on David Irving. When is enough with him? Also trade him for Amari Cooper. Cooper, that'd be great. Oakland has no desire to do that one, though. As for Irving, the Cowboys are being as patient as they possibly can with him, and that's how Jerry Jones tended to operate in the NFL. Now, his absences as of late have been due to a custody issue with his daughter. He no longer has custody. Angela Sanchez, his on-again, off-again girlfriend, now has custody. Irving actually has a temporary restraining order against him filed by Sanchez, which is probably not ideal and partially why he's been away from the team. But Irving is now back with the team, and the hope is he's able to play on Sunday. And as I've said multiple times on other shows, you got to feel bad for the guy. He's gone through a lot of crap in the past couple of months, even year or so, but there is always something with David Irving, and that's got to be frustrating. So I think in reality, you're definitely going to try and give him the rest of the season from a pure football perspective. But beyond that, I don't know. And that brings us to our next question here from Echelon. Will Dallas be willing to do an incentivized one-year deal with Irving next year or simply part ways? I don't want to completely rule it out, but I would be a little bit surprised. And if I'm the Cowboys, as great a talent as David Irving is, and even though you do feel bad for him as a person, you can't trust him right now. There's always something going on with David Irving. Great talent, great one on the field, but he's never on the field. And if he's cheap and really, really cheap, then either A, still dealt with all off-field stuff, or B, probably wasn't worth that much on the open market. And in that case, did he actually play that well? All those things go into the decision here. So I've leaned towards no. It's a loaded defensive line draft class next year. I'd rather draft somebody. Yeah, they're probably not as good as Irving is right now, but you can trust them to be on the field, hopefully, for all 16 games, and you have him longer, and in theory, he's going to give you better production across all 16 games because he's not missing 4 every couple of weeks. All right, folks, Cowboys play the Jags this week. If you can get the score exactly right, I'll send you $25. Get your score prediction right now in the comments section. Then DM me your score prediction on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. If you get it right and you're the first one to do so, I'll send you $25. So, one more time. DM me on Twitter with your score prediction, and we'll send you $25 if you're the first one to get it right. All right, next up from Rob, because yes, I did see this one. Which coach did you tell to go fuck themselves first, Jason Garrett or Scott Linehan? Well, I have said to fire Scott first, so I guess I'll go with that one. And I want to hear from you guys, too. Which coach do you dislike more? Type G for Jason Garrett, type L for Scott Linehan. No, you can't pick both. You have to pick one after all. I just did. All right, Sloan, you're up first, or up next, I should say. What can the coaching staff do differently from here on out to help this offense? Well, there are a couple different things. There are several things the Cowboys can try to do here to make the offense better. I got 5 of them here right for you. First up, fire Linehan. Everyone write out that last comment? There you go. More play action. All right, the play action works. A lot of the Cowboys' big plays, the Rico one, the Swain one, others, the touchdown or the great grab by Gallup. Others, the play action works. Teams are so terrified of Zeke Elliott, they will collapse in early, set things up better. The thing I hate most about this offense is the whole, okay, we're going to run curls, hitches nonstop and comeback routes. Stop having guys run straight and turn back around. It doesn't work. You got to find something different there. And you have to get a receiver going. I don't know who that is. Maybe it's a screen game. Maybe it's because you run more play action and because you use different route types. but you got to get a receiver going. In all likelihood, it's probably Cole Beasley. And finally, you guys aren't going to like this one, start looking into the offseason. Good receiver class, solid tight end class in the draft. You can throw money at guys in the offseason as well in free agency. You better look ahead because in reality, the solution to the talent is not on the roster right now. All right, folks, we're trying to get to 5K subscribers here on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. Almost there. We're getting closer. Thank you to all who have already subscribed, and tell a friend too. All of our great Cowboys coverage all in one spot, sometimes even earlier than we do on our main YouTube channel or here on Facebook. All right, again here, Sandman, my boy. He asks, why is Dak regressing so much in a contract year, and won't that affect him come re-up time? It is kind of a contract year for Dak, not technically, but he is eligible for an extension, so in reality, it is kind of a bit of a contract year for Dak. But for the regression, well, he's not the type of guy to, carry the rest of the offense around him. He's not as good as he once was, i.e. in his first year, but the supporting cast has also regressed. The ground game has not been as good. The receiving core is way worse than it was before, and teams have kind of figured out the play calling. All that goes together. That's why Dak has regressed a bit. So it's certainly not ideal, but that is the reality right now. Hopefully, he can get things turned around quickly. Folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI. Head to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Cowboys120 if you want some free money. Put down $100. They'll give you $120 for free via that 120% deposit bonus for a grand total of $220. You are playing with house money if you use promo code Cowboys120 at chatsports.com/bet. All right, some more coaching questions, which does not surprise me at all. I knew we'd have that quite a bit this week. Do you think we fire Garrett and hire Chris Richard as the head coach, and do you think he would be a good fit? Richard's going to get interviews. I don't think just from the Cowboys. I think from multiple teams that inevitably fire their coaches this season. I am open to the idea of Chris Richard as your head coach. All right, now, here are my top 5. Not necessarily in my order, but I think guys the Cowboys will target in particular. Ideally, you can get Sean Payton, right? That's the number one home run dream hire, all right? I would tend to lean, though, towards an offensive-minded coach, be it a DeFilippo, be it a Riley, because if you hire Richard, your defense is going to stay the same, if not a little bit better. But what do you do about the offensive spot? That's a big concern for me, so I'm open to it. And Supernova here has an idea for the OC. He asks, what about Norv Turner? And I'll give Norv Turner credit, all right? I was not as high on Norv entering this year because I thought he'd lost his touch. The time in Minnesota did not work very well. But he came back this year with the Panthers and has done a fantastic job. So I'm open to pairing Norv and Richard, but here's the thing. The Norv Turner offense in the past is what the Cowboys have run for the most part past couple of years. So I don't know if that's what you want. On the flip side, he's done a good job in Carolina. So I'm open to it, but I don't know if Norv is even going to leave Carolina because he's got a bunch of family guys there coaching as well. So I don't think it would happen, but I'm not opposed to it either. With that in mind, who do you guys want as the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Let me know in the comments section. I'm sure you'll have plenty of great ideas there, folks. All right, from King C the Goat, he says, why not go the trade route for a wide receiver? Well, who are you going to get? Not a lot of great receivers are out there. Maybe you could go trade for a Golden Tate, which makes sense, but you're going to give him, let's say, a 4th or a 5th round pick. At least probably a 3rd or a 4th. I'll settle on a 4th here. Yeah, then you have to pay him. Does Golden Tate or any of the receivers that are potentially available make you a playoff team? I don't think so. And I'm not saying you don't need receiver help, because you absolutely do. Because Beasley, Hurns, Gow, it ain't working. This receiving core is not getting the job done, even if it's not all their fault. But I don't think this Cowboys team is one wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 post away. I don't think that's where they're at right now. So you do need receiver help, but I think the offseason makes a little bit more sense for you. Now, Corey Bates with a similar question here says, why not go get a receiver or a tight end as well? And again, I think the offseason makes sense. That's when you could see the Cowboys make a big splash. Right now, I just don't think it makes sense if you're going to trade away picks for a player that might not get you to the playoffs. That's not good roster construction looking beyond just the season. As for getting rid of Sean Lee, look, he could be a roster cut after the season. He absolutely could be. Now, you guys know that I love Sean Lee. When healthy, he is among the best linebackers in the NFL. But he is constantly hurt and does have a high salary. I don't want to cut him this year, but if he doesn't want to take a pay cut in the offseason, I would not at all be surprised if you see Dallas say, you know what, Sean, thank you so much. We're going to move on. And as I mentioned before, I don't think Dallas should do a splashy trade. Let me know if you guys disagree in the comment section. If you have a player that you want in mind, let me know. I think in reality, you're not a one player, even two players away from changing your franchise and getting yourself from, let's say, 7-9, 8-8 to a 10 or 11 win team. You're just not that close right now. In that case, keep your picks. You need those young guys to develop long term. All right, from Ethan with another trade idea here. What about Demaryius Thomas? There's been a little bit of buzz that DT is on the trade block, and he would give the receiving core a boost. Here's the thing. Do you want to pay Demaryius Thomas $14 million a year next year? No, I don't think you want to. He's not going to get that much on the open market, I don't think, if and when he gets cut by Denver. I would rather wait for Denver to cut Demaryius Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders. I think one of those guys is gone next offseason. Then once they're cut, go try and sign them. I don't think it makes sense right now with the way this Cowboys team is. Yes, it makes you better in the short term. I don't think it makes sense to go make a splashy trade because what are you going to give up for DT? A third or a fourth? Maybe a fifth? I don't think that's worth it, especially the third or fourth, which I think is more likely. So I like DT. I like Emmanuel Sanders even more, actually. I say you pass on a trade and focus on the offseason for getting that number one wideout. All right, folks, if you guys want your own awesome Mizzen and Main shirt, get one at comfortable.af today. They're made right here in America, and trust me, they are the most comfortable dress shirt you will ever own. All right, and this one from a YouTube comment here, couldn't resist it. Says the Cowboys need to make a major trade for a real quarterback, which, sure, you can take that approach. Does he trade David Irving, Sean Lee, and 2 firsts for Andrew Luck? I love Andrew Luck. I'd love to do it. I don't know why the Colts would. 2 firsts is a lot, and it gives them quite a few. I think Luck is worth more. He seems to be okay for the Colts. They let him throw the ball all the time now. But if you're the Colts and you're rebuilding, because that's what you do if you trade away Andrew Luck, why would you want pending free agent David Irving and an old linebacker in Sean Lee, or aging linebacker in Sean Lee? I'm open to trade ideas, but I don't think that one makes enough sense for the other team. Time now for a little Cowboys-Jaguars preview. I think it's going to be a close game. Now, we'll get to my prediction later on in the show, but the Cowboys at home are actually the underdogs in this one by 3 points. The Jags are the favorites, which makes sense because who's the better team? I think we could all agree that Jacksonville is the better football team right now. With that said, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, a very low over-under, down to 40.5 right now. Jags won't have Fournette. There's some similarities here with the way that these teams are run. Good defenses, questions at quarterback, a ground game that is up and down, but you need to have a good ground game. I think the Cowboys actually match up pretty well with the Jaguars in this one. So get your score predictions, folks, in the comments section. After you do that, DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney with what you think the score will be. If you're the first one to get it right, I'll send you $25. So again, send me your score prediction on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. All right, time now for some injury reports here for the Cowboys, and quite a few to discuss here. There's actually 12 different guys on the injury report this week. So DeMarcus Lawrence, Tavon, Jameis, and Zeke, they're all listed. They're going to be fine. I'm not overly concerned here about those players. I think they're going to be just fine. Zeke with his knee injury, they're going to be okay. Next up, Taco Charlton, Tyron Smith, Cole Beasley, Chidobe. Taco has his thumb banged up. I think he'll be fine. Tyron's banged up again. He should play. Cole played last week. I'm not concerned about that. Awuzie, though, I'm actually kind of concerned because he missed again. He tried to play through it last week, ended up sitting on the bench later in the game. It was limited earlier this week. That's a good sign. I wouldn't be stunned if the Cowboys tried to give Chidobe an extra week to recover. It's close to 50-50. We'll continue to list that one as questionable, but do monitor that closer to game time. And then Joe Thomas, look, he's not going to play. I don't foresee anything like that. Malik Collins has been banged up with his knee. I think he's close. I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to go. But with David Irving hopefully playing, you might not necessarily need to rush Collins back. Anton Woods, I think, will be fine to go. Sean Lee, by the way, practiced on a Thursday, the first time he's practiced since that re-aggravation of his hamstring injury. I'd lean towards he doesn't play this week, but that he's practicing bumps him up to questionable for me. All right, folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI. If you're going to bet on the game, you got to do it with BetDSI. Chatsports.com/bet is the URL. Promo code Cowboys120 gets you a 120% deposit bonus. You are playing with house money if you sign up at chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Cowboys120. All right, time now for some keys to the game. First up, ground game. Where are you? You need to be great every single week if you're going to win football games. Last week against Houston, it was not good enough. You have got to find a way to get the ground game going if you are the Dallas Cowboys. You need Zeke to be better than what he was. You need the offensive line to be better than what it was. This entire Cowboys team is built on the ability to run the football. You better have that happen this week. So, folks, how many rushing yards will Zeke have this week? Let me know in the comments section. I'll put the over-under at 90. How about that? It's a good Jags defense overall. Over-under 90. Let me know what you guys think. All right, next up. You do need a receiver to step up at some point. I don't know if it's Cole Beasley, if it's Gallup, if it's Hurns, if it's a tight end even. You need somebody to win. All right? Dak's distribution is still not that good. Somebody has got to step up and be the guy that gets open, and that can at least scare defenses a little bit. Maybe you give Butler a shot because he's been benched pretty much every game since he signed. Has one snap. That was on the Hail Mary. You got to get a receiver going. I don't care who it is. You've got to get better production from the Cowboys receivers. I take your pick on which one it should be. I lean more towards Cole Beasley because at least I know he can get open. So far, this receiving core has been a disaster. All right, pass rush. Step back up. You pressured Watson very well. Only had the one sack. Thank you, Jalen Smith, for that really touchdown saving one at the end of the second quarter. You should have an advantage here. Your defensive line is very good. Antoine Woods is going to be able to go. Crawford is going to be able to go. In theory, you're going to have David Irving back this week as well. You have Randy Gregory. The Jags' offensive line is banged up. Randy Gregory and Taco Charlton should have success against what could be a third-string left tackle for Jacksonville. We'll see what happens. You should have multiple sacks against Blake Bortles this week if you're the Dallas Cowboys. And speaking of Bortles, just make him beat you. Blake Bortles is not a good quarterback. He's not good. Stop trying to tell me otherwise, random people out there on the internet. Bortles sucks. He is a bad quarterback. Look at his stats and losses this year. When you try to make Blake Bortles beat you, you typically win. Take away the ground game. Don't turn the ball over. Stop the run. Make him beat you in the air. Because guess what? More often than not, he's not going to. Now, to be fair, I think that's what Jacksonville is saying right now about Dak Prescott. I think I'd rather have Dak than Blake Bortles, though. So make Bortles beat you. I don't think he'll be able to if you take away the run and you don't turn the ball over. And finally, be aggressive. Points are going to be at a premium. This one's going to be a low-scoring game, so be aggressive. That's 7 points, then settling for a field goal or going for it on fourth down. That could be a total game changer there. So be aggressive. As I've said before, I'd rather lose being aggressive than playing to not lose and still finding a way to lose the game. All right, folks, we'll have the highlights for you guys after the Cowboys-Jaguars game ends on our YouTube page. Go to youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. Subscribe today, trying to get to 5K subscribers. We're almost there. We got great coverage there for you, so check it out, youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. All right, on now to the projected depth chart here for the Dallas Cowboys. At quarterback, first up, look, Dak and the offense, they've been better in week 4. They've been a much better team overall. Scratch that. That doesn't make any sense. Dak has been better in the past. He needs to be better going forward. You're not going to see Cooper Rush. You're not going to see Mike White. You're going to continue to roll with Dak Prescott as your starter, and hopefully he has a better game against a very good Jaguars defense. All right, next up, the halfbacks. All right, Zeke Elliott, Rod Smith, and Olawale, the fullback. All right, Zeke has got to be better this week. Now, remember, you don't have Bo Scarborough anymore. I'll make note of this here. He actually signed with Jacksonville on their practice squad, which is not ideal because, in theory, he still has the Cowboys playbook, or at least has it memorized. But at the same time, the playbook's bad, so you're really not missing out too much on that end either. So I wouldn't be overly concerned about it if I'm the Cowboys losing Scarborough, though I am surprised they picked Chernover. Anyway, on to the receivers. Cole Beasley, Hurns, Gallup. Somebody step up. I don't care who it is. Somebody has got to be better each and every single week because it is not getting the job done. Yeah, Dak needs to be better too. You need a receiver to step up right now. Someone has got to emerge. I don't care who it is. With that in mind, who will lead the Cowboys in receiving yards this week? Let me know in the comments section. I'll lean more towards Cole Beasley, but at this point, it's pretty much throwing a dart at a board because your guess is as good as mine. All right, tight ends now. Well, Rico had his first career catch. That's great for him. Swain, Jarwin's still ahead of him, though, right now on the Cowboys depth chart. Schultz remains inactive. Swain, by the way, has been better than I thought he was going to, but he's still no Jason Witten. All All right, on to the Cowboys offensive line depth chart here in just a second. Now remember, Travis Frederick is actually no longer on the Cowboys depth chart. He has been pulled off it because he's on IR right now. So Tyron Smith, Connor Williams, Joe Looney, Zach Martin, La'el Collins, you got your backups there too. They got to be better. We'll talk more about that later on in a key matchup section, but that offensive line is supposed to be elite. Kind of needs to play like it because right now it has not played like an elite offensive line, and that has been a big, big problem. Now with that in mind and with that offensive line, how worried are you about it? You know, you don't have Frederick. Sewell's still developing. Tyron Smith is now banged up again and doesn't quite look like himself. Scale of 1 to 10. How worried are you about this Cowboys offensive line? And I guess the scale does matter here because this should be among the best offensive lines in the NFL. The issue is it's playing like an average unit. I'm going to put it at 6 because if it doesn't become elite again, you're going to have a tough time moving the ball at all on offense. All right, on to the D-line depth chart. As we mentioned earlier on in the show, I have high expectations this week for Taco and Randy. They should have success against a bad Jags left tackle. Cameron Robinson's banged up. That tackle depth chart, the offensive line in general is all banged up for Jacksonville. Cowboys should have success up front. All right, on to linebackers now. And again, they're a little thin because Joe Thomas, Sean Lee are both injured. Thomas is going to be out. Sean Lee I don't think will play, but we'll see. Better keep hoping Smith and LV play like they have been. They've been great. That's great news for the Cowboys. Banking on those 7 again. A big, big game. On now to the secondary. Again, there were some changes this week. All right, they brought in C.J. Goodwin. They signed a new safety in Darian Thompson and also cut Abraham Campbell. Awuzie is banged up. I don't know if he plays. If he doesn't, I would assume you'll see Anthony Brown go be cornerback 2. Jordan Lewis then becomes your new nickel guy. So just keep an eye out for that. And if you get really desperate, I could see a scenario where you put Xavier Woods in as your extra nickel guy like he did a lot last year, and you roll with Heath and Frazier at safety. So just keep an eye out for that if more problems happen in the secondary injury-wise. And then on now to special teams. Nothing's changed. It's the same old, Jeff Heath, your backup guy. Money Maher has been fantastic. That's very good news for the Cowboys as well. So hopefully those guys continue to play well. Maher has made me forget about Dan Bailey. I'll be honest there. All right, folks, if you guys want your own awesome Mizzen and Main shirt, you can get one at comfortable.af. It's the most comfortable shirt you will ever own. Again, they're made in America. It's absolutely perfect for America's team. So check them out at comfortable.af. All right, prediction time. First off, folks, get yours in the comment section. Cowboys versus Jags. What will be the score in this one? Curious what you guys pick. Normally, we all vote for the Cowboys, but they're underdogs this week. And a lot of you are not happy right now with the Cowboys' offense and defense, which is totally understandable. All right, so we'll get to that score prediction, but first I do want to quickly go over here the key matchup for the Dallas Cowboys. It's the Jags front 7 versus the Cowboys offensive line. This is a great Jags D-line. All right, Ngakoue, Darius, Jackson, Campbell. Some great depth in Fowler, Taven Bryan, and DeJuan Smoot. And even their linebacking core is also a very, very effective unit. They got a lot of talented guys on there. Miles Jack, Telvin Smith. That's one of the better duos at linebacker in the NFL. Smith's fantastic. Jack is a great player as well. They're going to do everything they can to stop the run against the Cowboys. You're going to see loaded boxes again going forward. So with that in mind, you need to find a way to still have success on the ground. You have got to get your offensive line going. The offensive line has got to be better this week. It's a tough matchup for Dallas. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But Smith and Sewell and Looney and Martin and Collins have got to open up holes. You cannot have Zeke continuously getting caught in the backfield. That has got to change this week. Hopefully it does, and if it does, maybe the Cowboys can actually pull the upset. All right, folks, so again, the odds via BetDSI. Cowboys are 3-point favorites, and the over-under is only 40.5. So producer Lena is going with the Cowboys 21-20. And I'll be honest, I struggled this week. I wasn't sure which way to go. In the end, I'll go with Jacksonville. 19-17, I think the Cowboys cover the spread. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. It's going to be ugly. It'll go down to the wire. But I'm going to go with Jacksonville. I just have a tough time trusting this Cowboys coaching staff right now. Plus, Jacksonville, they've been very good after a loss under Doug Marrone. Again, folks, get your score predictions in the comments section and then DM me on Twitter. If you're the first one to predict the score correctly on Twitter this week, I'll send you $25. Naturally, it's due before the game. No cheaters out there, okay? So DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. If you get the score right first, I'll send you $25. And we'll see you guys tomorrow after the game for some Cowboys highlights.